Oh, he's angry. Oh, Thorn, jeez, dude, no, 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 no. Get down. Get the fuck down from there. Whoa. Buddy. Come here, Thorn. Come here, bud. I got you. I got you. Come here. Come here. Come here, I got you. Come here, Thorn. Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh, shit.
What are you doing?
Thorn's in the tree.
Thorn's in the tree?
Thorn's in the fucking tree.
Thorn?
What's up, dummy? I won't. Thank you for coming back over here, bud. You are mine. Hey, 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 I'm here. This is me. It's just me.
Hello, it's your little bird Elle here. I thought it'd be fun to do a propagation bin today with you guys. The moss. If you hear little meows, it's because the kitty cat's got in trouble. Thorn just decided to climb a tree and almost jump into the neighbor's yard, and my brother had to save him. So they're gonna protest in anger that they cannot be outside. Just like we need to protest in anger with Black Lives Matter. Just need to put that out there. It's everywhere right now, I know. So this was a filled propagation bin that I had put together in March. So I already have this in here. So this was from a failed propagation bin, and I have already have some of the filtration unit in here. So what you're gonna want to do is get any like pebbles, stones, or things like that to fill up. We got these at the Ace Hardware, and I think one of the reasons why my original one failed is because I didn't use enough of my filtration unit. You can see, I keep saying unit, but that's not the right year, my filtration. This is dead moss from the previous time. This is moss that we collected in the video last time, and everything was just dying. So I had to pull out all of the substrate, and I mixed it in with the dead moss. Now you can also get this at Ace Hardware, not sponsored, but this is just the sphagnum moss. I also think there wasn't enough nutrients for my moss in there, so I mixed in a little potting soil with this sphagnum moss substrate, and also the moss that kind of has died off and dried out since then. So I'm gonna add more rocks to this and then get my layers going. So if you get just like a regular old 50-pound bag, you have to wash the rocks out, which is another reason why I think my first one failed. I didn't wash the rocks out before using them, so it was very muddy and gross. And they're still very like, you can see the dirt on them. You usually only need like about an inch of your filtration, and then you can get any mesh screen. This one's already dirty because this is the one I just had cut out and used before, but you can just see how gross the substrate had gotten in there. Like, it's just so you can get this from just any regular hardware store. You want to cut it down to the size that you're using. So now we're going to put our substrate in. Mine's already hydrated, and it does have clumps of moss in it. There's also charcoal in here, which is why I'm not adding a charcoal layer. I'm probably going to add more charcoal to it. The charcoal is a purification agent for the water. I don't know all the science behind that part. That's just something that I learned from Sherpa Designs. He's a YouTuber I follow and where I got most of my terrarium information for. If you guys follow him, he's really cool. He's the one who inspired me to do a lot of this stuff. And yes, this is a messy thing. If you want to wear gloves, you can wear gloves. So after you have a decent amount of your substrate layer, that's a rock. That's a rock. A decent amount of your substrate layer down, that's when you can start laying in the rest of your moss. So these are the ones that we collected on the hike together. This one just came out of a tree. My brother just pulled it off of a tree. But so these are the bark. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay them in. See, this is one of the really sad ones that had started to die off. You can see how dirty and sad it is. So I'm gonna rinse it with the water. And I think one of the reasons why this piece of moss didn't do well is because I had taken it off of a tree and then I just put it on the dirt in my propagation. So now that I have more bark in here, I'm gonna put it with this bark and hope that it does better. I also need to get different lids for my bins. Don't use black lids. It makes light not come in. That's bad. You want the light. Things won't live if you don't have the light. This is more of the moss that we found the other day. You can already see that it just started dying because there just wasn't enough nutrients, unfortunately, in my soil and in the substrate of the original propagation bin. They scream! Okay, I feel like they could probably come out as long as... No, not while filming?
Not while filming. There's
That's
too
okay.
much thought process going on there now.
That's true. Feel bad, I'm just cry.
Look at this thorn boy. He's upset.
He shouldn't have climbed.
Yeah, you shouldn't have climbed thorn. Screaming.
Screaming girl.
Screaming girl. No more of that. Stop.
This is a really sad moss who I collected. He's normally very green and bright and happy, but he just hasn't been getting enough nutrients or enough sunlight because of the black lids and because of the substrate wasn't good. So hopefully with the new substrate mix it'll be better and hopefully he'll come back and turn nice and green again. More of them. Because that's definitely, it's not dead by any means. That your moss can come back from being super dry. That's why I mixed a lot of the super dry stuff into this substrate to try and give it more nutrients and maybe have it come back. It can grow up through the roots, you know. It'll come back maybe. A lot of this is so dry and sad. I'll probably end up mixing that back in with the rest of the substrate in the bag.
Opie! Come here. Horn's having a good time. He's like, I'm chilling. Oh boy. Where's the local vine? Oh, no. Nope. That's not sweet. Gosh. This door fell off.
There's less moss on that side. I should just.
Oh, that's just a gross. So green over here. It is so green over here. It's like almost like a dead animal smell back here. Really? Yeah. That's kind of gross. Maybe that's why Thorn got so mad. Maybe. The kitties in protest. You can hear them? Yeah. Meow. How dare you? Terrible. Absolutely horrific. I want to be in this little...
Okay guys, so I just went around and I collected a little bit of more moss just from my yard, but now we're going to make a little terrarium. These filter themselves. You don't need to open them and water them. They kind of do their own thing. You just kind of decorate them and let them go. If you notice that like they're not doing well, why are your plants like behaving this way? Is there something you need to change, you know? So I'm doing this a different way than I even have the last time that I made a terrarium. Like I'm using the new mix of substrate and I'm using the distilled water. I wanted to just use tap water at first because I'm very lazy, but I noticed that my moss is dying too frequently, and a couple of my friends who I've made terrariums for, their terrariums are also dying. So I'm gonna go back through and kind of re-spruce up their terrariums and make some new ones. What I'm doing now is cutting some mesh to separate our false bottom from our substrate layer. The false bottom is the rock layer. You always want to make sure it's a little bit bigger than your jar because you're trying to catch anything that might fall down into your false bottom. Okay. And since this is a tiny jar, I'm not going to use a bunch of rocks. You don't need a lot. Wow, big boy! Where did you come from? Ha! I'm just gonna put some in there. So you see we got about an inch deep. Can you see that well? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we're going to put in our false bottom. I always have a little stick handy to do some pushing and shoving if I need. Freaking bug, get out of here. This does tend to try and not cooperate sometimes. So just kind of push it down in there. You do kind of want the shape of your terrarium to have kind of like lower in the front, higher in the back. Give it kind of like an angle, some depth. You see I'm kind of pushing the rocks down lower and angling them to the back. That just makes the substrate layer easier to make, and it makes your terrariums overall just look more dynamic, look a lot more natural too. Substrate time. Now once again, like mine is quite moist already, so I'm not going to be adding a lot of moisture into these. Add the filter. So this is just your regular old grill charcoal that you use, and I'm just going to be adding a little layer and kind of knocking it around. And once again, this is the purification agent. It adds your CO2 to the environment. Come on, guy. Get back where you were supposed to be. Okay. And this substrate that I have, I'm not putting a lot of charcoal because it already has charcoal in it. I have a lot of moisture in there too, so I'm not adding a lot of water. Bean.
Use my pushy boy again. Make it higher in the back and lower in the front. And I just choose on what's the cleanest, the easiest view, what has the least amount of stuff in the way. And that's my front, that's my back. You have clear, defined layers. Bottom, and then top. A little more substrate. I wanted to use this rock in here, but unfortunately I think it's a bit too big.
What I'm going for. So this is going to be our hardscape. This is what's going to look like our natural scape around our moss and our plants. That way I'm left with more, and this is a tiny terrarium too, so less is more in these situations. And just gently planting it into the base, and I'm gonna do the taller items in the back. The taller boys in the back. See, and these boys are kind of sad looking. Opie, get down! She screamed! Says, Mom, I can't get down. Boop. Super green and super cute. Woo!
My finger go down in the way? No. Okay. Ooh, like a tripod. Yeah, I know. Something you just set up to just have record. Yeah, so you won't need me every single time. You just go boop, done. You can make it illegal. Yeah, I feel like you do that. Then you can start getting those camera angles on the kit buttons. Yeah. Sorry, it's boring. Well, it's okay. I feel like we can speed this up. Add some background music. That's true. Zoom in on the spot, got parts that we need more. Yeah, does it look good? Oh yeah, it looks amazing. I feel like it looks silly, like it doesn't look very good. It was in the beginning, sister. Look at it. Look how cute this stuff is. Mama's home. Mama's home. Kapow! And if anything, like, we don't want voices in the background, just turn up the music around it. True. Like the hard voices get really drunk ourselves down. That's true. It's cute. Oh, you think we did something. Thorn did something. Thorn did something! You're about to see a video. We should show the video before anything. We will, but we gotta finish it. Yep. No, he was not. We know the world.
You add in your last little elements, kind of like to finalize your hardscape, finalize the look of your terrarium, where you feel like there's something missing. Maybe you need to put a little rock.
It's so rough, huh? It's a rough life.
You can hear the kitty cats telling lies to my mom who just got home. Let me just put one more over here. Okay, and then we take our distilled water, and you can kind of use this to clean the edges and the sides where you have dirt up. Just kind of spray it down. And now you'll kind of see how our false bottom will work when the water comes through and filters itself. And I can film this over the next couple of days, but you see how it comes through? All the extra water leaks down into the bottom, Though this, once it gets warm, will evaporate in its own life cycle. It's really cool. I don't know all of the science behind terrariums because I just got into this myself, but it just shows how easily you can get in and you can do these things yourself. Follow for more. I love you guys. Sorry if this video was a little jumpy all over the place. I just want to add in at the end, Black Lives Matter. Love you guys. Gotta change. Let's make a difference. Love each other. Love the world.